Right, welcome everyone to the next multi-network community saying today's August 20th. I have two topics. I think the list, I compiled it, but I think I didn't share it for the approvers. And then the other thing is kind of we want to start, I would like to know what is the status of the C9 DRA driver. I can give some context, but let's start with the first one. I think we talked about this last time. This is just a short doc about who we want to reach out to kind of talk about the approvers. And what I have is I think, two chairs, Antonio, Dan, and then the kind of proposals that Antonio was calling out somewhere in my PR to kind of look out is the OVN community. And I think, Bowie, you mentioned that OVN, it's probably Dan can cover that as well.
I would have Dan tell you who makes
Oh,
sense
okay,
for
or
OVN.
reach out to that. Okay, fair point. And then the kind of the Multus folks, so Network Planning Worker Group, what it's called. There is a link here to kind of how to join their meeting. Do you want to slice it dice? Who wants to take what, or is there anyone willing to kind of take this on driving one of these kind of elements? I think Lionel, you
First of
mentioned.
all, what are we talking to these people? Just that PR? Because I think
Yes. I don't know, Bowie, what can be other requests from them on that, but yes, the goal is to have the alpha version of the API merged so that we can move on
but
with
do people agree on like the concepts? Right? Like have we first we need to socialize kind of, hey, this is the new concept. Here's the implications from everyone's implementation,
So I
right?
think no, that's a fair point. So that
Like
should be
have we done
the
that? I think we're getting like ahead of ourselves, be like, just approve this when we haven't done that yet.
uh, I don't
I
know.
understand that there's some of this stuff has been around quite a while, but
Hmm.
you know, this is technically a new-ish proposal that's been consolidated. So
So how would you propose? Because that was presented 2 weeks ago in SIG Network. You say that's not enough. We should do it again, or what should be the goal here then, Bowie?
how
Because
about
that
we
was
how about we
uh,
try to catch all those folks either on Slack or just and then just be like, hey, have you reviewed this? Does the
so this is what I
concept
was
make
thinking,
sense?
right? I'm not thinking of bluntly going to them and okay, can you just approve? I think I think Dan wasn't in on the presentation. I'm hoping to catch him up, catch the folks again next SIG networking, where I want to continue the demo. So there is that aspect, and then for the communities, like at least for the Multus one, they have a regular meeting. So basically, what has to happen is to go to that meeting and do the same presentation that I did in SIG networking. So
Yeah,
that it's not like just to go and okay, can you approve just by kind of socializing, as you said, your word.
right. So we should be open to getting lots of feedback and kind of
Sure.
understanding
No, definitely.
what people's
So
requirements
so
are,
so
right?
so I think I'm taking approvers, but then as well seeking for reviewers. Basically, maybe that should say reviewers for the PRs to see what feedback we can get from there. I think maybe the wording is not right. Does that sound
Okay,
good?
like yeah, I think that we should just go into it with the right frame of mind because
Mm.
I don't know if looking at the activity on the commit, like there's not that much feedback, and I would want to see like feedback, even if it's like, yeah, this looks fine.
No, and
But like there's,
that's
I'm
fair.
pretty sure people will have lots of feedback. Some of it makes sense, some of it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so that's a fair point. Going with the kind of mindset of getting reviewed this rather than eventually approved. That's kind of the angle anyway. But yes, getting the feedback for this. So, do we want to kind of split it among ourselves, or
I think Mache, like, how about this? Let's create those syncs between this group and whoever the target is, and like let folks show up basically. So it's so everyone gets like a good understanding, because I don't want to be like a siloed thing where you know, Gaurav talks to one person, you talk to someone else, Lionel talks to someone else, and then like no one has any kind of like shared understanding of like what the feedback was, what the conversation was. I think that will become very inefficient to kind of get convergence. So it's like, hey, if we're presenting to this group, which is like OVN, it's just like, here's the meeting, and people should show up to kind of hear the feedback amongst this population.
All right. No, that's fair. So I think the one so let's do this. I will look at the Multus one. Should be quite straightforward. I know how to get there. One word of kind of, I'm not sure whether that changed, but the meeting is unfortunately, at least I remember, was I think 6 a.m. or so, or around 5. It's quite early. But still, they have a straightforward, like this group has a notes, and basically we can add ourselves there. I'm not sure how active it is. Lionel, do you know? I have not been in this meeting for quite some time.
Last meeting was 2 weeks ago, and there was no agenda.
Okay.
It's summer time, but the leading people have moved to some other project in Red Hat. It was Dog and Turbo. So now it's like renewing people, I think.
Okay, so let's see how that looks. I think let's add ourselves there, and let probably we can go to the. I think I'm part of their Slack as well. We can socialize that there to kind of folks we would like to do this, so that maybe more people show up and discuss what they have in mind. And then I will reach out to Dan on this OVN community to see. Do they have one or something? Is there something like that, like for the Multus folks, to kind of see if this is something that we can
or
just...
worst comes like you can invite them here, like, right? So
that's a fair point. Yeah, but basically I'll reach out to Dan, and from there I will try to find some contact points for this for the OVN stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
For OVN we can contact Surya. She's the
oh really?
Main
I think she was
this project.
Oh, okay, awesome. So let me that's a thanks for that, Lionel. So I will reach out to you maybe for the Xplac LDAP for that, but for her. Then yeah, I can let's that be the contact. All right. Any other questions to this?
So Maciej, I think like just let people know what the schedule is, right?
And no, that's fair. Yeah. Let's do that. I will try to announce via the Slack for this group on what wins what, and then I definitely will try to make sure everyone's aware of the kind of discussion on this one.
Just a comment. I think inviting people in this meeting could be a good idea. Maybe in 2 weeks, and then we have a demo again. And
yeah,
I mean, if there's enough people attending, and we could discuss about the architecture maybe. Or
that's definitely. That's fair point. All right. Share this stuff back. All right, so I will leave notes. So to the other stuff, Lionel, you are the owner of this repository, and I think at Google internally we kind of looking at maybe investing more into and having some sort of reference implementation. And I think this is kind of something that you kicked off, and kind of wondering, is this something that we could kind of help you with? To kind of drive towards that. So I think there are 2 questions to you. I think the first one, I would like to know where you at with this, and then the other question, I think back in one of the docs, I did ask you whether this could be the reference of kind of implementation, and you kind of give a response that might not exactly be that. So I'm not sure, unless I misread that comment. I would like to know what you have in mind there, or this can still be a reference implementation for the multi-network for this effort that we're doing here. So yeah, what's yours?
So the first question is where I'm at with this project. So yeah, first I'm a bit sorry because I've not have been so active around it recently. Got all the stuff internally, but it's still ongoing, and it's mainly used for POCs for demonstrating the networking area in the array, for example, in KubeCon, and make the array evolve in the networking area. So I think, Masaharu, you're working with the implementation, or you study how to have NIC integrated with the CNI driver, if I'm correct. And he's looking at SROV, for example. Masaharu, or is that correct?
So Lionel, like, I know we have Aman here. You know, what we want to do is kind of like get these into POC plus state.
Right.
And, you know, is there some sort of like stuff that needs to be done in terms of cleaning it up or making it more robust, or there's missing features? Like, that would be good to know.
Right.
Especially, you know, are they filed as issues on the CNI DRA driver? And then the other question I have is, what is the relationship between that and these other repositories that we have?
Right. So yeah, that was the second part of my answer about where we can help and what needs to be done, etc. One of the key points to me that was missing was the KEP 5075 about consumable capacity that allows to create virtual devices, because many of the CNI plugins allows to create this kind of, or require this kind of devices. So MacVLAN, IPVLAN, or even overlay CNIs require this kind of things. And this is a feature that is being included in 1.34, and we can be based on this soon, next week. So this is something that has been done. The second part, or the main part that I'm struggling with, is how to expose the resources that are available in the cluster without having the CNI driver managing this, because CNI driver will just call a CNI behind, but a CNI can utilize any kind of resources. So how to expose the resources in a DRA world, and then the CNI can use it behind the scene. That's the part that I've been struggling with, because CNI spec is not aware of this kind of thing. He's not aware about the scheduling part.
It's just a dumb, basically, just piper, right? It will just pipe in the stuff and doesn't care.
Exactly.
So right now I saw your current what's merged, right? The current design just calls out, and correct me unless I misread something. Doesn't kind of provide any details around the CNI piece, right? It's except for like it defines the structure for the API, and you have an example of how that can be used inside the resource claim. But I think there's no details. Is that correct? There are no details about how that's really exactly going to be done. You know, all the details. Are we using NRI? I assume we are, but I think those things are not like called out. Is that something details we need to add, or that kind of things? What do you think?
Yeah, that's correct. That's details that we need to add. I think there was some improvement in NRI that has to be done at the stage when I wrote this document. I think now it's completed. But yeah, that's true. That this is something that needs to be written. But yeah, I was assuming that was the path forward to use NRI and this interface to.
So basically, what the ArrayNet did, but just for this purpose. All right. So Lionel, I think
so
there are the few things, right? What you just called out, right? The capacity usage, how we can kind of leverage that to do the virtual interfaces, all of them, right? How do we treat the kind of the CNI config into the DRI world with the kind of the resources that we have, right? Is there a way to, because we could go very dumb or very simple. Okay, this is the CNI config, and maybe we're gonna look at them kind of like parent, let's call it there will be a parent interface notification, or unless you have some parent interface field which says, okay, that's how we are identifying the specific stuff, or we just use the stuff that is in the CNI itself. We parse those, and then we attach. But I think this is something that at the end just needs a design. I think. What do you think? We probably need some, unless you have some POC that you can show off on what you have, because there is no code. I saw one PR about some CMD ad, if I'm not wrong, right? But there is no. You said you have some POCs. Is that something that maybe if you have something?
Yeah, the last POC was for KubeCon Japan, but it was based on because the tricky part is that we had to build Kubernetes ourselves with the consumable capacity, and then we have to base the DRI driver. That's why there's no recode now for now in this repo.
Right, there is only the API, right? It's just the kind of the structure of the stuff, and there is some pull request. I'm not sure when is it from. That's like from March. Okay, so that's even older.
And
so is there? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that was for KubeCon London, and then for KubeCon Japan, it was the one where that was more advanced with consumable capacity, and that require Kubernetes supporting consumable capacity.
Got it. Okay. So what do you think? What would be the best course of action? Do you have something in mind?
I think I should be better at writing issues first about the problem that I told you. So I will try to do that. I will take a note.
All right.
I think Peng from IBM, who worked on consumable capacity in the array, wants to have a meeting, I think next week. So I could forward the invitation for that about DRI driver.
Should we just invite him here and I'll discuss it? Oh, next week we are.
I think she would prefer another time because in Japan.
Oh, okay. Okay, different timeline. Okay, that gotcha. That's fine. Yeah, if you can forward it in the maybe in the this meetings group Slack, then if it's okay to us to join, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So Lionel, go ahead. You were saying.
I just wanted to answer the second question that you had about how does it refer to multi-network. So I don't know if you're aware on how OVN Kubernetes and Multus relation works, like OVN.
No, I'm not sure. No.
So OVN Kubernetes has something called user-defined network (UDN), and so you define this network. So the network is being created within the cluster, and if you want to attach it, then Multus will play the role here. He will just plumb the interface, an interface that will be attached to this network that is being created. And here it's a bit similar, right? We have multi-network that provide the POW network API, and we have the array that provide the attachment to this API, to this network. So CNI DRI driver would just be something that allows to plug the POW to the network being created with POW network.
And how do they link those?
I think I don't have details. I think that when you create a UDN in the namespace, every pod are attached automatically to this network via Multus, and Multus defines this NAD, network attachment definition, with the CNI config, and in the CNI config, I think they put a network reference.
Okay, I see. Because so that's something that so what you're thinking is to not have any connotation of the pod network in this. Is that? I think that's what I'm hearing. Is that right?
Right. It's more a Multus-like implementation based on the array.
How would then, because considering our current proposal, right? How would we? And I think we have time we can discuss, unless there are some other. So I'm just gonna write this guy. So you mentioned some issues that you have in mind. So I will leave that to you, kind of, because we don't have any issues. We can create issues for that. So I think before we go to the kind of next kind of question I had, I think the first thing will be to kind of come with the kind of what you have in mind of what's currently missing in the repo. And I think for all the one thing I'm missing in this repo is kind of the more detailed information on how we are exactly going to do the CNI piece, right? The CNI array part. Is that right?
I check, because I think this was the first document that got merged.
But those, I think that you're referring to this, share this stuff. Right, this nice configuration, right?
Right, because it mentioned that the CNI config will be stored in the resource stream.
No, that part I do understand, right? That part I didn't understand. Maybe let me read it through it again. Maybe I was.
Maybe I misunderstood the question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you know what? I wonder whether, because there are like the NRI, right? Do we call it out somewhere here that we're gonna use NRI to execute and then being called? Then
no, just I say on pod creation and on pod deletion. So it implies that this project detects somehow that the pod is being created and deleted.
Okay.
And yeah, NRI is perfect for that.
Okay, let me maybe I was missing. Maybe all the things are here.
It's the last sentence in the first paragraph of the design section.
Mm-hmm.
Design section.
Design
chapter. The first paragraph and the last sentence.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I think what we need next, because there's no code for this, right? If you have some base that we can, so I think the issues that you called out, that are kind of right now, we have one issue here. What is it? Support standard attribute, resource attribute, PCI root, and okay, yeah, the standardized names. I think this is what Gaurav you're doing, right? I see around, yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, this is the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, basically supporting those, but we need to kind of define if we. You mentioned someone is looking at this as well, Lionel, to kind of support the SRV part, right?
Masaharu.
Oh, really? Oh, that's Masaharu looking at it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I need to read maybe through the design again and see what if I am missing something, maybe because I might have to just haven't read through in detail. So what are the next step, Lionel, from what you see to kind of push this forward? And if there's somewhere we could support you, help you with this, right?
Yes, thanks for that. Yeah, the first thing, I will create the issues, explaining the thing that I'm struggling with and the different alternatives that have been considered, so we can discuss about these different things. So that's the first thing. The second thing is next week there is Kubernetes 1.34 that contains consumable capacity, And to me, that will enable the virtual devices, so we can start working with that. And yeah, I think that's a good step.
Okay. So I would say there is a need to be some POC for the, or that should be just a design. Do we need a POC before we do design? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, wait, for capacity, yeah, the POC is done. Yeah, we presented the POC in KubeCon Japan. I have the POC. I have the code that I can send to you. It's on my account. Just the instruction to run it, I need to
complex.
find.
So maybe we can. We have half an hour now. I don't want to put you on the spot, but is it something that we can do next time to see what? To look what does it mean, and do we have to have a, because I don't think your design calls out the capacity aspect, right? So should that be another like doc for that?
Yeah, we can work on this. I think Peng was very interesting because her use case is to have bandwidth allocation. So she wants to have
various types of capacity pointers. Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly.
Because you can even use just IPs as a capacity, right? In this, because that can be a limiter, right? We don't define any IPAM anywhere, but we can come up with something, and even IP. This is what we kind of, it's one cases we use IPs as a capacity at Google.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's another thing that can be a limiter, like a very generic one. Okay. So the issues, and then I think this we can let me maybe the demo. I think you have a demo recorded. Okay, I think that's what we can watch through, and that definitely gonna be useful. All right, so now go ahead.
If you watch this talk, there was a good question from John about how to, because you get all these attributes from when you select a device using when you do a request in resource claim, and some of these attributes could be cool to have them reflected in the configuration. So there was some we're starting to imagine something like that, and maybe it could be included in the array, or maybe it's only in this project, but maybe it's interesting. I mean,
what do you have in mind? What do you mean?
Like you put this, for example, in the config, in the request, in the resource claim, you have the CNI config, and this CNI config you would put like the base interface for MacVLAN, for example. But this interface might not be written or defined by the user directly. This interface could be selected via the request selector in the source claim, and that comes from an attribute of the interface that has been selected.
Yeah, exactly. Because right now it will be just a match. I would. That's what I like. That's the only thing. Otherwise, you just select exactly the device, right? So basically,
yeah, exactly.
For the capacity, right? That's how we select a specific thing, right? Can that be part not of the kind of config, but part of the selector? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. And it was a question from John at that time. With Peng, we talked quickly about that, but I will try to write in an issue, and if anyone has any comment on this, yeah, it could be interesting. It could be maybe a new cap in the array, or I guess we can grow something with that.
Okay. So let me call this up. So.
I was on the talk also. There is all the migration story. I think people are interested in that, like migrating from Multus to this project. Like it could be interesting for company that wants to evolve their use cases towards something that the array can cover. So they will need something to migrate from Multus to this new solution if they want to adopt it, I guess.
So I think from my point of view now, because I understand we have to have the piping down what you just called out, all those pieces, but how would you now link that with the pod network? I think this is where mine kind of main interest is. At least mine personal. I think the other folks wants to kind of join with it because we need to have the reference implementation in general as well.
Right.
But then, kind of, how would that look like for pod network, right?
Right. So to me, pod network is a bit like the UDN object from what I understood
Okay.
from OVI and Kubernetes. So OVI and Kubernetes provide this object UDN network, but they need the way to attach the pod to the network itself. And the array is there, but they need an implementation that does this connectivity thing. And it would be the CNAT. It could be the CNAT driver in that case.
Right. But how do we? Okay, that's fine. But considering, no, I understand that concept, right?
I mean, if we look at how OVN, from what I understood, is doing now, they have the user-defined network specified in the CNI config. So if you put the CNI config in the resource claim, then you can do the connection between the pod and the user-defined network.
So basically, the reference would be in. So you would have a template. Let's assume I have a template, a resource claim template, and in addition to your standardized kind of structure, you would provide the pod network name.
Let me check their documentation. I mean, I think it would be also better to have Surya or someone from this community to talk about that, because
No,
it's more...
that's fine. Of how they, I think their linkage is. Keep in mind they don't use the array right today, and basically
Right.
whatever is their linkage is they just work it out for themselves because the whole thing is around OVN, right? And then whatever they do. My question to you, how we want to do it, because you are aware of what the pod network design currently is, right? And this is the where was this? I think that part. Let me share this stuff, right? Right now, our approach is the pod network holds the data, right, and the knowledge, and then the whole thing is just referencing a specific pod network, right? So that's where I think this is where I'm seeing a bit of a collision here, right? And yes, we probably can work it out, but I think from whether we have to we do this, that's I think just usability, and that can be a different use case, and which might be strange because we are trying to advertise this approach, and then what you're saying, the reference implementation will not do that. So so that doesn't work. So this is where you see the contention here, right, Lionel?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I fully understand.
So how would we? Because this is where my pressure would be as joining this to kind of can we align, right? Because then or we completely change our approach here with the pod network, right? Because if this is to be a reference implementation, it has to align to whatever we advertise currently. Otherwise,
yeah,
it's not, right? Like from the implementation point of view, I'm showing this slide. I understand that from the implementation point of view, what we care the most is just this. This status is the most important stuff, right? For the serviceability, for any network policy discovery, I want to know which IP belongs to which network. I think that's the kind of, for future integrations, that's the most important thing. So from implementation point of view, I would say whatever we do in the top section, I think the bottom section can be just can be aligned, and we are all good, right? But still, this piece kind of has to align if it's supposed to be a reference implementation, right?
Yeah.
So this is where I'm having that kind of, either we slightly change our design here in pod network, or how would we kind of align this this stuff in the reference implementation? You have something in mind, or you didn't give it? And I assume this is why you were kind of reluctant of calling explicitly the reference implementation for this.
I mean, yeah, the first part I was struggling with was to integrate CNI with the array. That's
okay, fair point, right?
the challenge.
No, that's good, right? I hear you. Yeah.
The example or the inspiration that I was taking was this OVN Kubernetes, because they put the pod network in the CNI config. So, so on this example, with the attribute pod network in the resource claim, if we have the feature that I just told you that you wrote, could parent interface be defined via standard DRA selector? It's that thing could align with the thing that you are currently selecting. So you select this pod network, and then it adds it like automatically in the config somehow, in the CNI config.
Right, because it would be, I think, because that's where the DRA driver would see and hear. Even the example kind of fits, right? Because this points to, and let's call this a name. It could be not name, just parent name, right? In the pod network definition, and then that instructs the driver to put that annotations on the proper, the attribute on the proper resource, right? Accordingly, and then when you create your resource claim, it's what you say.
Right.
And then that's a light, yeah.
So it would put the pod network in the CNI config, but here the problem that I don't know how to solve is the largest problem here would be the status, because you put in data pod network BlueNet, then the CNI it means that the CNI DRA driver needs to be aware of pod network in that case.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But how else you would like to link it?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
because that's the problem, right? Either you do, because the only entity that knows what IP belongs to a specific pod network will be the driver. The other anyone else? No, nobody else will have that knowledge. Or because why is that? Is because I have a specific resource claim. I created, and this is virtual, right? So I created myself a MAC VLAN, right? And I can provide that MAC VLAN. So we maybe could have but that's very awkward to have another agent that's going to run and sweep through all the MAC addresses and compare. But as I said, this is very, very awkward.
Maybe just CNI is not adapted for this, because the CNI DRA driver is just a bridge between DRA and CNI. It just forwards.
How bad would it be if it were ours? Since this has to be a reference implementation, I wish it could be a reference implementation.
Yeah.
And it can, because it can be dynamic, right? Oh, I see. Someone picked me up by the pod network. Okay, I'm in a mode where, and there is no flag, right? It's auto discovery whether I found the attribute or I am selected by a specific pod network attribute. So basically, if I see this notation of us in cell or something, then that means I'm in a mode where this is a pod network defined thing, right? Because I think what you're getting to, Lionel, from your point of view, is to ensure that your project can work with and without pod network.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the goal, right? That's the main requirement here, right? Is that correct? So I assume we could, because it's a code, right? So we could kind of make it dynamically, either via either via CRD discovery or via, not only by probably via kind of setting up having the attributes on a specific device. If I find the attribute pod network, then I go the full multi-network approach. If I don't, then I just do whatever, right?
Okay, yeah, I see.
Does that sound? Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it would just be a special attribute in that case. That's
because it is special attributes right here, and this is what I was proposing with what I'm kind of suggesting with this proposal, right? And this is what I did as well with DRANet, right? In my demo, where the DRANet, it will add the annotation only when the pod is there, right? If it's not there, I'm just listing all the devices as the old way. Nothing new, right? And basically, this is what we could do as well, where you can do it through pod network, or it can be a standalone thing as on its own, right? And then I'm gonna push you further. And then if we were to have these two modes, kind of like fully without any flags, just fully auto-discovered, could your CNI definition be part of the parameters, basically?
Yeah.
Think about this. I think now we have time to kind of talk about this, but because
the CNI config is supposed to attach the pod to a network, and to me, the pod network is supposed to define the network itself.
Yes.
Not the how to attach it. So having the CNI config in the pod network.
You say that, but I will tell you that if I attach via MAC-VLAN in the whatever mode, but if I attach with MAC-VLAN, that's a L2 type network. Everything is flat. I connected it like that. If I pick a P2P CNI, it's not flat anymore, and it's a Viet pair, right? So that means I am assuming this is some sort of L3. You have to have SDN. You have to have additional configuration into it. So how do I attach? Does define the network as well. So that's my argument against what you just said. Fair point. I think some cases, if I use a specific like IPVLAN can have modes. That's a fair point. I think what I touch or not. Which interface I attach, those matter as well. This is part of currently it's the master field usually in the CNI. That says which is the parent, and parent can dictate what is the VLAN, for example, because the parent can be a VLAN. So that defines what network it is as well. So it's kind of yes and no. You see my point?
Yeah, I see your point. Just it's a bit tricky.
Yeah, it is tricky because it's kind of intertwined. And to be honest with you, like when you think about that's a fair point to what you're saying, how I attach, but how I attach sometimes define what is the network. I think what definitely is part of the how I attach or configuration is in-pod parameters. And what I mean by that is, for example, like you see all the annotations, the Multus annotations of the pod, where you can, when you can decide that defining which NAD I want to attach, you can define additional attributes. And of course, those has to be supported by this specific CNIs, but like, for example, the basic one, like MAC address. I want to define what is the MAC address inside the pod, right, for the interface. Or what is the IP maybe as well. IP is the part of the CNI, but MAC address is not always, right? So all those things kind of all the parameters that define what happens inside the pod is definitely part of the claim. I agree with you on that one, right? Because this is per claim parameters, right? Per pod parameters. So that one definitely has to be part of the resource claim, where like MAC address, name of the interface, some other parameters. I don't know what else can there be, like maybe some sys stuff.
Static IPs and
IPs and what's not. Maybe those can be part. Definitely has to be part because they are tied to the specific pod. And this is tricky because there needs to be some line on the two, and a CNI kind of merge those two things together. At least some of the CNIs, they merge those things together, right? And I understand that we do want to definitely keep it. I assume at the end we still want to rely on the CNI binaries. Is that true, or do you think to just import a Go code from the CNI and just do yourselves all the stuff? What is your thinking around that part?
No, the idea was to have like the CNI binary stuff.
So just exec a binary and then get a return.
So any CNI can be added behind the CNI IDEA driver.
Okay. I think that's the goal. Okay. Yeah. So basically, then this project becomes a like exactly like Multus, where we have to construct the CNI config in full, because I think at the end Multus does that, right? It gets the main kind of the core of the CNI config from the NAD, and then adds stuff. Like I know that it does that for the SRLV, right? It adds the PCI address stuff into the. I'm not sure whether it's added to the config or as an argument, but basically it adds some additional arguments for the CNI call, right?
Right. Yeah, these are arguments, yes, that are defined.
Yeah. Exactly. So basically, that's what this would be do here, and I think this is boiling down on which can we split some of those arguments, right? And we can follow up the Multus example, right, as well here, because I think they're so long that they did a good job on that. But of course, keep in mind on the templates, right? And keep in mind that like the main, when I think about this, what can be part of the what I want to say, the resource claim, we can split this even with your current design, where instead of putting everything into the claim, like the core of the CNI config can be the class. Exactly. Yeah. So you would have a IP VLAN class, Mac VLAN class, right? All those. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then this is a standardized mode that you can just standardized classes that you can just be part of the reference implementation already, right?
Right. This is something that we were discussing with Peng.
Okay.
For the CNI driver, but it's just discussion for now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. It can be in the device class, and we can have an IP VLAN.
All those, right? Whatever we have, all the possibilities, all the combinations, right? It has to be sometimes enhanced because, I want to have a static IPAM, I want to have a whereabouts, or I want to have something else, right? All those blows and whistles people want to use.
The advantage of the device class, or the difference with the device class, is that it's defined by the cluster admin. So the cluster admin defines what is allowed, while having it in the resource claim is the user, the application.
Exactly. So, and this is where then the pod network can step in, right? Because that's the same thing. The cluster administrator, let's say, the cluster uses pod networks. So instead of defining that via class, we define it via pod networks, and then aligning that against pod network APIs to further down do the kind of other features alignment. Right? Yeah. Because classes come with your stuff regardless, right? You ship your standardized classes, right? With the reference. But then if someone wants to use a pod network, they then create a pod network with basically copying the classes, right? And tweaking accordingly. And then they can just reference either the pod network with extra parameters as well, because this is where we can split what are the claim side parameters, like let's say the interface name, right, will be part of that, right? I want to, like, if the CNI supports it, you can specify the interface name, the MAC address of the interface, any other flows and
right? Yeah.
And then we can split what is part of the claim and what can be part of the class, and then the claim side should work in conjunction whether you use class or you use the pod network. Does that sound like some sort of solution?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I think this
because one of the point or the feedback I got also was the complexity of this full solution. So it's something that we should also take into consideration, is make it simple for the user, so they will adopt it and they will understand it and being able to debug it easily.
So class is one way because you predefine things for the user, right? I think one aspect is what you said yourself. How would we define the parent, right? This is a tricky question and how to handle that. Because is it then part of the claim, which is tricky because parent can mean a VLAN, which can mean like a kind of specific network parameters then, which is tricky. So that kind of I think gaps are still at least I'm seeing. Okay, this needs a design definitely, Lionel, right?
Can you say again? Sorry.
This needs a design. I think. How
exactly.
would we? How the interactions? What is the requirements then? And then how are the interactions of the pod network? And this is where I understand you were focusing mostly on the CNI, but this is what we would like. That will be let's call it a bit of a tax. That we would like to add that bit of a complexity of the project do understand pod network and be able to handle it.
I mean, I understand this point. Just there was so many things to.
I see, and that's very fair. You were looking at things that you are prioritizing things, and let's prioritize those. I think what I would like to do is just have this design defined, so that we know where we are heading. First, handling those initial things that are the first use case, right? Is that okay, Lionel? And then we can, from our side, we have something that we eventually want to get to when this pod network is gonna get merged, because before it's merged, we shouldn't even reference it, right? And then work on the aspects that you call up, like the capacity, because right now there is no binary even, right, to be compiled from the repository. So let's have the core, the pieces, the initial stuff there. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that sounds fair. I will try to provide an instruction or maybe I have it for the POC from KubeCon Japan. So if
I think that the recording is here. I think let's all watch.
Right. I mean, if someone wanted to try, but as I said, it's a bit tricky to try it because we need to compile Kubernetes and we need to run. So it was.
Let me watch the demo and definitely see that. I don't think. Yeah, from there we can see what I think the core. If you have some core code, I would recommend just like the main. There is no main in the repository yet, so even like a bare bone main, what you have in mind, like about the structure of the repository, what's not. Just create
It's in this fork under my name.
So create a PR against it, what you want to. I know that the demo is not fully, it was very specific to, I assume, or maybe not.
I mean, it is done for this Kubernetes version that was also another POC.
So maybe any hacks or any like something that is you're not certain of, you're not sure, just remove those and create a bare bone, do nothing main, so we have at least base, like even make build, right? Make files now. I'm not sure whether you want to use make or anything else, but those the aspects I'm currently there is nothing in the repository. There's just the API and the initial design, right? Let's have some code for that initial design. I think that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, sounds fine.
Okay, I think let's wait for your issues, and even for that base, let's create an issue for that one as well, Lionel. I think because that's I think we don't have that base binary to compile, right? So let's create those, and then when you get those, we can start. I'm not sure whether we should how to manage this. Should we just do it on these meetings? Do we want to change this to a weekly base and then drive that here? Anyone has ideas, Lionel, and the rest of the group? Because we could do that, right, and try to kind of drive this project further, since we have folks that can kind of chip in to this, Lionel?
Okay. Maybe we could try to find a time that will arrange everybody. I think Masaru would like to be involved. Peng would like to be involved. But both of them are in Japan. I don't know if there is a time where we can all align at the same time. Yeah. Do you think that would be possible?
Is this meeting not fine?
It's I think it's I don't know
It's
what
late.
time is it in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 1
okay.
a.m. now.
Yeah, it's thanks, Master, by the way, for the commitments. Yeah, it's tricky. I see what you're saying. What to decide here, I don't know. So maybe we probably would need an alternative to this, a meeting to meet in a more favorable times, like early hour time, and then so much the more. Because I think that the best thing is like what the Multus community is doing. I think that they are connecting all three kind of continents because that's tricky, right? Getting Asia and US, especially Pacific side,
Right.
it's tricky. Could you propose something, Lionel, on what you have in mind, and so that we can kind of drive that there?
Sure, I need to check the time zone thing, and I will try to come with something.
Look at Multus. They have to do that, so they have that same problem. So we can do that if anything. Okay.
Yes, or the plumbing group. Otherwise, it's one meeting for Europe, Asia, and
Yeah, exactly,
and Europe.
Exactly, that's what that is. Or we can. I'm not sure whether we can try Pacific. Because it's for Pacific, it's either early in the morning or late at night for Pacific, right? And then for you, for Europe, I think then if it's our late night, then it's very early for you. I think this is early Pacific is more favorable for Europe, but it's late night. Yeah, it doesn't work for anyone. It's always a problem.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, try to look at it and see, and you're gonna figure. I think there's an open source like proposed time, and we can vote. I'm not sure whether that's a fair to vote, but at least that way you can kind of see what's what.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think for what we are waiting for are the issues, Lionel, then at least. And if anything, then we can sync on unless you have your own Slack channel, or should we leverage the multi-network one?
Use the multi-network one because I wanted to create a Synology driver channel, but I think Antonio put some comments. I have a private chat with some people. It's very recent, so I can add people.
So I think we can leverage the multi-network one. If I think that's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds good.
I didn't want to take the multi-network one because
I think that's at this point. I think if we can make it as a reference implementation, then that's part of that.
Okay, sounds fair.
All right, folks, let's call this. See you in 2 weeks then.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.